You're just not ready for this. While crypto degens debate whether an altcoin season is even going to come or not, guess what? Whales and institutions are quietly stacking their favorite altcoins right now. Why? Because they know that narrative drives money. Okay? So stick around until the end as we unpack the stories that are set to dominate the next 12 months. You don't want to miss this because these are going to be the talks of the town. So look, some purists are going to flick up their nose and frown at the idea of crypto ETFs. It should be in your wallet. There's no denying their impact. Bitcoin's rally after the BlackRock spot ETF proved that regulated access brings big money. We're up to almost $50 billion of total inflows to Bitcoin ETFs alone. That same model is now being applied to altcoins, with 31 ETF applications for altcoins already filed in the first half of 2025, potential setup for billions in inflows to Solana, once seen as just dogcoin territory, is heading for the big leagues, with 9 issuers filing for spot ETFs, including big names like VanEck, Bitwise, Grayscale, Fidelity, Invesco, and more. And it's not just Solana. We also have several different altcoin filings out there. We have 3 pending applications for Dogecoin led by Grayscale and Bitwise. XRP has 7 filings for spot ETFs, another 5 for futures. Litecoin's got 3 spot ETF filings. BNB Coin, Sui, Say, Aptos, AVAX, Cardano. They all have spot ETF applications and others too. There's more HBAR and if I didn't name your coin, I'm sorry. There's just so many of them, okay? There's a regulated way to get access to altcoins coming very, very soon. No need for exchanges, wallets, private keys, any of that BS. Just place an order through your broker. That's also why institutions are going to prefer these products. Regulated exposure without the hassle of actually having to manage crypto directly. This is going to bring billions, tens of billions into the altcoin market. But ETFs aren't the only game in town. Treasury companies are coming for your coins too. You see, when MicroStrategy kicked off its Bitcoin strategy back in 2020, critics called it reckless, and it's been criticized up and down, but the money just keeps pouring into sailors' pockets. Fast forward to today, the move's paid off big time. Now companies are all racing to be the next MicroStrategy, adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. According to CoinGecko, there are now well over 100, heck, we're getting closer to 200 companies that are holding a gargantuan sum of Bitcoin. Yeah, a lot of that's in the hands of just MicroStrategy, but still, the Treasury company is coming for your BTC, okay? Nobody can deny how quickly this is growing. We're going through a phase right now where literally every single day we get at least one story, sometimes 2 or 3 stories of new companies adding Bitcoin as a treasury asset. It's insane. And these are just public companies. More and more private companies are joining the party all the time. And it's not stopping with Bitcoin. Sorry, Bitcoin maxis, but it was never going to just stop with Bitcoin. Human greed exists, and it's as long as human greed exists, we're going to have stupidity in these markets. Ethereum is also being added to the treasury company narrative. We have NASDAQ listed SharpLink Gaming. By the way, I own that, which they've recently expanded their Ether holdings to 188,478 ETH, and they're staking that ETH for about $15 million a year in yield right now. We also have Solana, which is a crowded favorite from this cycle. Solana Global Investments, a Canadian public company reportedly holding over 30,000 SOL. NASDAQ listed DeFi Technologies with a whopping 609,000 Solana in its crypto treasury. Meanwhile, Sol Strategies just filed a $1 billion shelf prospectus to get more money to ape in. Galaxy Digital Holdings also in the game here, holding a huge amount of Solana alongside its broader altcoin crypto portfolio. And if that's not enough, we have Upexi, which is another NASDAQ listed firm, and it has a massive 679,677 SOL on its books. There are several companies right now also building XRP specific treasuries, collectively pledging nearly $1 billion of XRP buy pressure coming in, the biggest being Trident Digital Technology Holdings, which is planning to raise $500 million to stack up a giant amount of XRP coins. Meanwhile, Weebus International, a NASDAQ-listed company, is working on a $300 million XRP reserve. You've also got firms like Vivo Power, which is allocating just a measly little $100 million, okay? Even small players like Worksport, Hyperscale Data, Wellgistics Health, everybody's getting in on the game here. We also have other altcoins now being added as treasury assets. Crazy toxic leverage, by the way. When all this shit comes down in the bear market, it's gonna be bad. On the way up, it's gonna be our toxic leverage that sends us to the effing moon. All right, we have companies buying BitTensor and Hype and all kinds of stuff. NASDAQ listed Lion Group just announced a massive $600 million Hype coin treasury. Inovia is adding another $50 million to their Hype stack. It's getting real crazy out there, guys. So what's the play here then? Well, you can buy the stocks of the companies. I've bought some. I bought some Semler Scientific, the Bitcoin Treasury company. I bought some SharpLink Gaming, SBET, that's an Ethereum Treasury company. But it's going to get real frothy out there, guys. There's a lot of companies doing stuff. Maybe at the end of the day, you're better off just holding the underlying assets. But the companies themselves have been putting in some pretty big gains. So there's definitely an attractive play there, I think, in buying some of these Treasury company stocks. But keep in mind, they're going to crash real bad in the bear market, and that they're much higher risk stocks compared to, investing in index funds or something like that. And if you want to be at the forefront of trading this hot new narrative in the markets, you need a good exchange to do that on. That exchange is BitUnix, where I'm doing most of my trading these days. If you want to long the rips, short the dips with big liquidity, exotic coins, they got you covered. And here's the best news. No KYC, no VPN. And that means it's available to literally anyone, anywhere in the world. That's you. You're anyone, anywhere in the world, and you can use BitUnix. And you can get up to $2,000 in trading bonuses. The more you trade, the more bonuses you get. And this is the craziest part of the deal, the deposit bonus. You see, if you deposit $500, you get $100 back. $1,000, you get $200 back. If you put $2,000 in, they're going to put $400 back into your account, which is craziness, man. If you want to take part of that, link down below. Check it out. Next up, we have real world assets, or RWA. It's projected to grow to $30 trillion by 2034, and several projects are positioning themselves to be at the forefront of this narrative. We have all kinds of stuff, lots of great real world asset plays out there. One that I bought and hasn't been performing super well recently, to be fair, is Plume. That's an EVM compatible layer 1 purpose built for real world asset tokenization. They have about $4.5 billion worth of assets coming to their chain, including about $1 billion in mineral rights from Allegiance Oil and Gas, and about $200 million in carbon allowances via a partnership with the Abu Dhabi-based Masir. And even though it was just launched in April, it already has more than 180 dApps in its ecosystem, so perhaps worth keeping an eye on. Hopefully the price recovers. Fingers crossed. The next up is Maple Finance, or the Syrup token, which I know sounds like a meme coin, which is kind of clever, but it's actually a very serious, big, thick nerd glass kind of serious player in real world private credit. Syrup gives DeFi users access to institutional grade lending markets once reserved for banks and funds. It currently manages $2.49 billion in assets and has issued over 400 loans, totaling more than $7.7 billion in total amount borrowed. The Syrup token, by the way, has been one of the best performing tokens in recent months. The real world asset narrative is real and should be paid attention to. Another RWA heavy hitter is Ondo Finance, a DeFi platform that tokenizes real world assets, including US Treasuries, bonds, and money market funds, and is partnered with financial giant BlackRock in order to tokenize US Treasury bonds. That's crazy, man. Empowering a lot of these tokenized asset flows, you will find infrastructure plays in the background. If you want to buy picks and shovels, great. If you want to buy the pick and shovel seller, that's Wormhole, the leading institutional cross-chain protocol with around $60 billion in volume, connecting apps and tokens across 40 plus blockchains. It's the multi-chain provider for BlackRock's USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund, Apollo's ACRED Fund, and Mercado Bitcoin's $200 million of tokenized BTC portfolio. So the largest crypto exchange in Latin America, BlackRock, Securitize, Apollo, a lot of big names behind Wormhole. By the way, I own Wormhole as well. And some of the other coins we're talking about in this video, if you want to see my full portfolio disclosures, as always, link down below in the description. You'll also find a risk statement there, because investing in altcoins is damn risky. You lose all your money, especially in AI agents, which is the next narrative. It's a $1 trillion industry. Cost of building AI models, even billions. It's not for everyone, or is it? Virtual Protocol flips the script with its killer pitch: co-ownership of AI agents in gaming and entertainment. Cool. These AI agents can be digital hustlers, generating revenue as NPCs in games, chatting on Telegram, streaming on social media, running a hedge fund, trading for you. Shit. It's democratizing AI props without needing to learn to single line of code. I like the AI agent narrative, and I think it's very interesting. There's been a lot of leaders in the pack, and most of them have fallen off, like AI16 said, which could come back in a big way. The AI agents themselves, you can bet on an individual agent, but it's pretty freaking high risk, obviously. An individual agent can go to zero pretty quickly, but they're also the highest upside potential return. They're like meme coins. AI agents are like meme coins that can do something, let's say. The next generation of meme coins. Holding something just like the Virtuals token is probably, again, own the picks and shovels shop versus trying to find the gold, right? That might be the play to go with here. But there's lots of competitors coming at Virtuals all the time, so Even though it's got a nice early lead and a good ecosystem, its long-term success, let's see. The final narrative here is DeFi, the comeback kid. See, back in 2020, we had DeFi summer, man. Explosive growth. People were farming yams for 1,000,000% APYs. It was crazy stuff, man. Wild times. This cycle hasn't been as kind, but that could change as new investors enter the space and start to grasp for real utility. Some DeFi projects are very much worth watching and have good tokenomics. Some are total garbage, but we're seeing a lot more of the leaders be cemented in the space. One to keep an eye on is Camino Finance, now the largest lending protocol on Solana. We have Aave, one of the original giants of decentralized finance. MakerDAO with their aggressive buyback metrics on the decentralized exchange side. Jupiter on Solana recently crossed the $1 trillion in trading volume. Aerodrome Finance on Base just leveled up big time. Coinbase announced it's integrating Aerodrome directly into its app, which gave it a major boost in this token price. So look, we've talked about this many times, okay? Crypto runs on narratives. It runs on attention, okay? There's only so much money to be pushed around the space in any given time. The ones we covered today, ETFs, real-world assets, treasury companies, AI agents, DeFi, these are all backed by growing interest capital and infrastructure. There's a lot of opportunity in those niches. Yes, there's other niches that might do well, other niches that may not do well, and all these won't perform exactly the same. But these niches right now are shaping up the direction of the space over the next 12 months. I think it's worth keeping an eye on how these stories continue to evolve, because timing, the narrative, often matters just as much as picking the right narrative and the right assets within that narrative. It's not an easy game, but if you get it right, riches await. Let me know in the comment section what narrative you're betting on. Thanks for watching.